Pleasant good afternoon to each and everyone, and let me say a special welcome to members of the media. Welcome to this press briefing of the Minority Leader. And today I want to discuss three pertinent matters with you, the people of Tobago, and as per usual, we will bring fact-based information for the consumption, for your information, and for you to be able to continuously have the information readily available so that you can come to a proper conclusion. Fellow Tobagonians, as we embark on a long weekend, it brings me no joy to discuss these matters with you, but in fact they are very important, and therefore we are here having the discussions. At this point, I have come to the conclusion that Tobago is, in fact, crumbling under the leadership of Mr. Fali Chavez Augustine and his bunch of misfits. And I say this with no apology, because when you look across divisions, when you look across the various agencies of the Tobago House of Assembly, what you are seeing is a clear indication of callous mismanagement on the part of those we would have chosen to lead Tobago's affairs for the next 4 years. And today I must bring to your attention several critical issues plaguing Tobago's healthcare system. These concerns reflect severe inefficiencies at the level of the Secretary of Health, Dr. Faye B. Israel, and the Tobago Regional Health Authority. After 2.5 years in power, they have failed to operationalize the Roxborough Hospital, and they have not yet adequately addressed the tragic deaths of a mother and her baby. These are indicative of a broader systemic problems that urgently needs resolution. And I want to draw to your attention that incident. And the reason I make the parallel between that incident and the failure of this administration to operationalize the Roxborough Hospital is because, based on the information I have, had that hospital been operationalized, then perhaps, just perhaps, that might have allowed a life of a baby and a life of a mother to be saved. Because from my understanding, based on the medical diagnosis, it is because the distance from Speyside to Scarborough, that is, by the time the mother arrived at Scarborough, it was merely impossible for there to be any life-saving intervention, medical intervention. But on the contrary, had this Roxborough Hospital been in operation based on the timelines and based on the proximity to Speyside, that would have allowed that mother an opportunity for her life and that of her baby to be saved. And today I want to cry shame on the Secretary of Health, a secretary that is from the East. Today I want to cry shame on the Chief Secretary, a man from Speyside, a man from the East. And after 2 years, they have failed the people of the East by failing to operationalize something that was gifted to them on a platter. And to this day, without just cause, the Secretary is unable to open fully and operationalize fully the Roxborough Hospital. And the information I have is that what is even more concerning is that they are requesting funding for the Roxborough Hospital in terms of ensuring they have the medical professionals, etc. And then they are receiving those funding, but on receipt of those fundings, they are using those funding elsewhere. So you, the people of the East, you, the people of Roxborough, you, the people of Speyside, you, the people of Charlottesville, your healthcare is not important to your very own people. Your very own Secretary of Health, who is a daughter of Bell Garden, and your very own Chief Secretary, who is a son of Speyside. And this, today, as I said, I cry shame on both Mr. Farley, Augustine, and the Secretary of Health, Dr. Faith B. Israel. And I want to draw to your attention more than that. There are some very pressing issues, and medical professionals, practitioners are saying to me that at this time they believe the health system has collapsed, because they are saying, one, medical stocks are out. Essential medications are frequently out of stock, putting patients' lives at risk. Lack of lab reagents. Basic tests are unavailable due to a shortage of lab reagents, which severely hampers diagnostic capabilities. 3, no histology for cancer diagnosis. There are no consumables of histology, making timely cancer diagnosis impossible, again placing the lives of Tobagonians at risk. Poor prioritization of purchases. Critical medical items are not being prioritized, affecting patient care. Aging surgical staff. It is my understanding that the 2 specialist general surgeons are over 60 and approaching retirement, leaving the department in the hands of unqualified staff. Tobago, we have a problem. And another issue is the maintenance of the general outlook of the Scarborough General Hospital. I am being told that at most times, the hospital seems to be unclean, posing infection risks to patients and staff. I also understand that the kitchen staff is currently overworked, because you have a situation where they are not only catering for those at the hospital, but they have now added the burden of having the kitchen staff at the hospital cater for those persons working with the oil spill. And I'm saying, why not allow private? We have so many cases that burden on the kitchen staff at the Scarborough General Hospital. Why not provide that opportunity for some of our caterers, our private caterers? And that is an opportunity to help with commerce, because we know the private sector is struggling. But yet you are here overburdening the kitchen staff to the point where they are now burnt out. Some of them are not reporting, and that is also affecting their ability to provide meals now for the patients at the hospital. Maternal deaths and obstetric mishaps. There has been no official statement. Well, today I recognize there's a statement, and the statement is very curious. Because how can one investigate him or herself? And that is what, from the statement, is being told to the public. The TRHA is saying, we as the TRHA, we have investigated ourselves, we have exonerated ourselves, and the matter is now closed. Ask no question, tell no lies. And I am calling today for an independent investigation into the death of Ms. Shangi and her unborn child. Because at this point in time, the family requires closure, and the TRHA cannot exonerate themselves. This requires an independent investigation. And more than that, even in the midst of family grieving, the management of TRHA is now victimizing the victim by exposing challenges with the victim's medical history. And to me, I cannot see anything more reckless than such actions. And therefore, we need to rein in the board of directors of this TRHA and the secretary of the Division of Health. I also understand that there are prosthetic care backlog. There's a significant backlog of men awaiting prostate care and biopsies. Delayed pap smear results. Pap smear results have been delayed for months due to a lack of lab reagents again. No cardiology services. I remember the days when we used to complain about not having these services in Tobago, and under the People's National Movement, there was deliberate efforts to ensure we built capacity right here in Tobago, and these services were available up to 2021. But this is why I'm saying again, Tobago is crumbling under the leadership of Mr. Farley Chavez Augustine, because here we would have built up capacity, and we are in a situation in 2023 where I am being told that there's no pediatric cardiology service, necessitating parents to now make trips to Mount Hope for children needing medical cardiac care. And this is unacceptable, because while the PNM would have built up, what we recognize is under this Farley Chavez Augustine administration, they are tearing down. Speech therapy delays. Patients face long waiting times for speech therapy services. I even understand HIV specialist inquiry. There's uncertainty about who the HIV specialist is at the health promotion clinic. Absolute chaos within the medical management of Tobago's healthcare service. Given these serious issues, I am therefore calling for a forensic audit into the Tobago Regional Health Authority to investigate financial management practices and to ensure accountability. The people of Tobago deserve a functional and efficient healthcare system, and these ongoing problems a full-blown health crisis. Tobagonians, we are in some troubled waters. And while this is happening, I want to also segue into addressing misleading claims about funding. Because make no bones about it. Make absolutely no bones about it. We hear every day, whether it's on the ground or whether formally through press briefing, secretaries, including the chief secretary, complaining about a lack of funding. As a matter of fact, there are also stories going around that the THA is withholding money. I have residents who told me when they are suppliers of services and when they go to the offices of certain assemblymen and secretaries, they are being told, we can't pay all you because the central government not sending the money that they have for we. The central government spiting we. Only to be told at the conversations with the Prime Minister that those information is in fact incorrect. To date, it is my understanding that this administration has been receiving their allocation on time within the agreed payment scheme. And you would hear the Chief Secretary rebut and say the Minister of Finance is playing smart with foolishness. But at no point did he dispute the figures and the numbers that the Minister of Finance indicated were given to the Tobago House of Assembly. As a matter of fact, the Minister of Finance is on record as saying it was the Chief Secretary who created this quote-unquote pay, and he asked for the subvention to be transferred 2 months in advance, and on the third month of the quarter, they received their balance of payment. And that sounds to me as quite reasonable. Taking in account, previous PNM administrations weren't so fortunate. They had to manage the island on a month-to-month basis. So not only were they having to deal with the same challenges of trying to build out and develop Tobago with 4.3% thereabout, but they were getting their monies on the month, every month, and which makes management even more difficult in terms of cash flow. But this administration is getting their money in bulk, so they are better able to plan and prepare and pay people accordingly. As a matter of fact, one of the things I want to bring to the attention of Tobagonians is that this administration has actually received more money than previous PNM administrations. And we are not just talking about more money in terms of dollars and cents, but when you look at the percentage allocated, they in fact was above the usual 4.3%. The THA received percent of the national allocation, and therefore it is quite dishonest and his cohorts to pretend as though they are being treated worse or less than previous THA administrations. We know it. It is no secret. THA administrations before the PNM, including Mr. Ochoy Charles, the THA administrations during the era of Mr. Orville London, all of these administrations received about the bare minimum, 4.3%. But what difference we have in this regard is that while Mr. London would have, and Mr. Kelvin Charles and the others, would have displayed and demonstrated prudent financial management, financial mismanagement, callous financial mismanagement of the funds, and when they end up in problems, they revert to their default, blaming the central government, even blaming the minority leader. And this, Tobago, we cannot continue to accept, we cannot continue to allow. We cannot allow them to mislead Tobago. We cannot allow them to mislead the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And while they continue to show sentiments that they do not have enough money, and they don't have money to build roads, they don't have money to pay salaries on time, they don't have money to hire people, they don't have money for the social grants, they don't have money to do the things that are important to you, Tobagonians. What we are seeing is a prioritization of money for them to travel. This particular concern, it comes at the heel of the fact that they continue to tell us they have no money. And the Chief Secretary at the last plenary, by his own admission, admitted that they have spent over $11.6 million. And that is just for personal expenditure. That just involves the flight and the per diem. But what the Chief Secretary did not tell us is that there are other travel-related expenses that are incurred. And that is why I could have come to you and told you before the Chief Secretary that these people were racking up an alarming travel bill to the tune of $20 million. Because when you add all the costs of setting up booths for travel, for World Travel Market and ITB and all the others, that is an additional about $9 to $10 million that they have incurred. But I want to go further, because it seems that even as we Tobagonians quarrel and we complain, it seems as though they don't care. And I've come to the conclusion that traveling has nothing to do with ensuring they do the business for you, the people of Tobago. But traveling has become a hustle. And by a hustle, I want to share with you an Executive Council note I have. And I asked the media to check on the Facebook of the Division of Settlements to see if by chance they have told us that the Secretary of Settlements is leading a delegation to St. Vincent tomorrow. And now that I've said it, I am positive that you'll see it coming out tomorrow. But their modus operandi is to enjoy the travel money quite easily. They pocket it in some instance, and then they come back quietly. Because even when you look at the discourse between the Chief Secretary when Minority Councillor asked him, what, after you spent $11.6 million within 2 years, what have you achieved? What do you have to show for it? And the Chief Secretary went on to tell the Minority Councillor, well, we have signed the deals with Condor. That Condor deal has been in place from time immemorial. I was at the Tobago Tourism Agency when that Condor deal was in place, and all that deal requires, I can tell you, because I was on the board, is a validation of contract. It's all about extending contract. You do not need a Chief Secretary hop in a plane to go to Germany to confirm a deal that is already in place. I could share with you the converse. We had Mr. Kelvin Charles. On 2 occasions, Mr. Charles left this country on tourism-related business. He went to WTM, I recall, and when Mr. Charles came back, Mr. Charles was able to announce that they have secured, based on negotiations, a new flight from a new destination, that being the flight. I'm sure you could remember that. And that Sunwing flight was so in Tobago's numbers that we saw an alarming increase from Canada coming out of that Sunwing flight. Over 2,500 passengers in the first year. It reached 2,000 before COVID, and it was projected to grow even more, which meant money's coming in, foreign direct investment, foreign exchange coming into Tobago. And out of that Sunwing experience, we also saw where they also acquired Starfish Hotel. And they were on the brink of also building out at Starfish a Royalton. So that is somewhere where you can see tangible benefits from a Chief Secretary who has the capacity, who has the ability to go out and attract foreign direct investment. What has the Chief Secretary brought for us? 2 World WTM trips, 2 ITB trips, and absolutely nothing. $11.6 million spent and absolutely nothing. And this trip I refer to, my brothers and sisters, is a trip that has me very, very perplexed, very concerned, and it's as if these people don't care about us no more. Because here it is, the Secretary of Settlements who left our shores, I'm sure you could remember, about a year ago, telling us that he was going with a team to Jamaica to sign an MOU and to learn about the Jamaican program of housing. And he went there for 10 days. And that trip cost us over about $500,000 altogether when you take in the almost $500,000. This secretary is now telling us delegation of technocrats from the Division of Settlements. And here where they're going to learn about housing now. St. Vincent. Tobago. No, Tobago. Tobago, you all really understand the kind of madness going on in this place? This secretary finally wants to study about housing after he went to Jamaica like he didn't study enough. And if I have a secretary that needs to study 10 days in Jamaica and then 10 days in St. Vincent, then he don't need to be a secretary. He needs to be fired. Because clearly the secretary is saying to me, I do not have the capacity to do the job and I am an OJT. And we don't need OJTs right now, Tobago. What we need are people with the capacity to work. What we need now are people who will treat your funds with utmost care. This secretary, you know what would be his per diem? And it's a long weekend too, eh? Remember, we're having holidays from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so it's a good vacation. So he's getting a paid vacation of 10 days. And that paid vacation, he will be pocketing $50,000. Right? $50,000, that is twice his salary. So in 10 days, he's going to be getting in his pockets more than twice his salary. And so you understand why they like to hop flights, why they are joyriding, jet riding, while we catching with Nenin in Tobago. So imagine a secretary who has a mandate to treat with housing. He has 10 days on his hand to go to St. Vincent. You have Trinidad, HDC, building homes. You have all kind of programs going on at LSA. You don't want to go to Trinidad because there's no per diem. But you find business to go to St. Vincent. I want to share with you the itinerary as well, because the itinerary is quite funny. You know they will have to work in Tobago 8 to 4. Their itinerary starts at, so based on the itinerary I have here, they arrive on the 30th, so they're going on the 28th, but the trip doesn't start until the 30th. The law says that you're supposed to travel as close to the start date. So it's not like they're going Ghana or they're going to Australia, where it would take some time to get there. 30 minutes to get to St. Vincent. But they leave on the 28th. So what are they doing when they arrive on the 28th? What are they doing when they arrive on the 20th? So 29th is a relaxed day. Chill. Enjoy Tobago people money. Free money on the 29th. Then they have a reception. The opening ceremony and cocktail. So they go in and have a good time, man. 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. That is on the 30th. And then the days that they say they're studying. They're studying from they leave wherever they're staying at 9 a.m. So they get to sleep and relax themselves. 9 a.m. they get up and they're gone. So they study from the program, well, they start 9:30 and that will go on to 1 o'clock. So 9:30, I'm doing some maths here, 10:31, 11:30, 12. So about 4 hours, we give them 4 hours. So they're doing work for about 4 hours. On your account, you paying them over 3,000 TT for that 4 hours. They then have lunch and they spend half an hour from 2:10 to 2:40 on question and answer. So after studying for 4 hours, they only have half an hour to ask questions. And then they are done for the day. So they retreat to wherever they are staying, and you are paying them almost $3,000 a day, because their hotels have to be covered, their meals have to be covered, and all of that. And they do that for about 5 days on your account. And we, the taxpayer, this money, above everything else, is money that you have to find right away. So it takes away from every other thing. So if you have to be paid, as in this case, the vote does not even have the money. So it means that they have to via the money from elsewhere. So it means that something else that is important, like I just described over at TRHA, the crisis there with lab reagents, that is not important to them. Your life-saving drugs is not important to them. What is important to them is a secretary being able to hop on a plane 2 days before whatever study tour, 2 days before a trip that takes only half an hour, to go and gallivant, have a good time, and come back on your account. And I want to address something here, because today we see we have some people in government that could be very dangerous. And the chief secretary is a very dangerous young man. And I say that without apologies. I listened to the chief secretary on Thursday in his response when he could not defend the indefensible. And in his response to this alarming $11.6 million in expenditure, he attempted to slander the name of the minority leader by indicating that I, as minority leader, is complicit in this most callous, reckless spending, expenditure of taxpayers' money. So he went on to, when he was linking and outlining his non-achievements on his trips, when he recognized he didn't have anything to report, he went on to tell the entire island of Tobago and the country by extension that I, as minority leader, went on trips to London, to Ghana, and elsewhere. Absolute untruth, absolute hogwash. In fact, the minority leader went to one trip, which was an approved trip by that very executive council, where the THA went to a Commonwealth Parliamentary Association program as an observer. And the THA, the Tobago House of Assembly legislature, sent a four-member contingent. It was led by the presiding officer, the leader of Assembly Business, Ms. Zorisha Hackett, the deputy presiding officer at the time, Mr. Joel Sampson, and a member of the minority, myself as the minority leader, also participated as part of the THA's delegation. I only found out that I was part of the delegation after they prepared the note which asks for a member of the minority. So the minority leader on his own cannot approve any trip to go anywhere. And what is even most dangerous about that information is that the chief secretary knew that for me to get to Ghana, you have to connect somewhere. You have to connect either in the US or the other connecting point is London. But this dangerous young man chose to separate the travel to make it appear as if I would have embarked on multiple trips, which is a dangerous lie. In fact, I, as minority leader, yes, I can request approval by this executive council for trips. But I would not be so reckless. I understand the kind of period we are in Tobago. So if I have to engage on any trip, especially personal trips, I go on trips, I go on vacation, and that is paid from my private funds. That is how I know it. I do not know about taking taxpayers' money for private engagements as these people are doing. Joyriding, jetting across, and then telling you Tobagonians that they have no money. When it's time to do the business of the people, they never have money. But when it's time for them to have a good time, they are finding the money. Finally, as I conclude, there are two matters I want to treat with. One is the Study Park quarry. As far as I recall, I saw a video this morning again, where truckers, about 25 truckers, lined up since last night, waiting to get materials. And this again is symptomatic of the collapse of Tobago. The PNM, yes, there were challenges before, but during the period 2017 to 2021, that challenge was overcome. The PNM, through the transformation and the privatization of the Study Park quarry into the Study Park Enterprise Limited, would have created systems to alleviate these challenges. Now, fast forward to 2023, we have gone right back. Tobago has in fact gone backwards instead of going forward. Capacity was increased under the former regime. All the various challenges that they are encountering, the former regime encountered it too. But they were able to continue to provide the services without disruption. And that is why I'm saying today, we have a serious mismanagement, a serious management deficit in the Tobago House of Assembly at this time. The persons who we elected to take care of our business are complete misfits. And you are seeing it at the Study Park quarry, you are seeing it down at EID Cut, you are seeing it down at TADCO. Imagine TADCO released a press release saying that they can't make ice because we have dry season. So Ice House making ice? How Jacobs making ice? How the others? being able to supply ice. Again, it is a management issue. And finally, it is my understanding, and I'll simply ask the Secretary of Infrastructure and the Chief Secretary whether any payment, or any settlement, I should say, have been made between the Division of Infrastructure and the private landowner down at Killigrew Estate. And I recall a figure whether the Division of Infrastructure have settled with the landowner of Killigrew Estate for a sum of $30 million. Again, I repeat, because I see him planning to go and do Chronicles of Menace. But I want to ask Touchy Trevor whether they have paid over $30 million to the private landowner at Killigrew Estate because his division broke the law, encroached on the private landowner's estate, and now we, the people of Tobago, have to fit that bill. So let them respond. Let them tell us. I thank you. If any questions, I would happily take it at this time.
I know Dr. Bates has been in the previous PNM administration for the Roxborough Hospital not being fully equipped to move forward. What's your opinion on that?
So Dr. Faith inherited a brand new hospital. It was just so unfortunate that at the time when the elections were called, that a new administration came in, but all systems will go to operationalize the hospital. Of course, the previous administration through the board would have identified a medical chief of staff. That medical chief of staff was building out the structures. UDCOT at the time handed over the facility ready to provide all the services. And you will recall when that question was asked very early, Dr. Faith told us that there were some challenges with respect to putting in certain infrastructure. All those infrastructure are now in. So then the question is, what is the issue now? Because the PNM has gone, we have to understand, it's not 1 year, it's not 18 months. It is almost 2.5 years, going on 3 years. You got a brand new hospital. And if the secretary is telling me that she has to wait for the new PNM to come in to operationalize that hospital, then she might as well quit her job.
Outside of what that you would have touched on, just want to touch on the situation at Hawaii. I know even the Chief Secretary's last address, he noted that he believed there needs to be a collective approach, and he's going to speak with minority, and then soon we're going to address the public together. Can you comment on that, whether a meeting has taken place, any meeting has been talked about, or to be on an approach?
At this point in time, I take absolutely nothing the Chief Secretary says serious anymore. Because the Chief Secretary has proven he's not a man of his word. Put a camera in front of him, he'll say all the lovely things. All the things he think you want to hear. But we have placed ourselves, made ourselves available, said it on record, said it to him. And to date, I've had absolutely no communication. And therefore, I am not going to waste my time with the Chief Secretary again. What I would do in my space and within the areas, the locus of control that I can control, including reaching out to the ACP, is share my ideas, because crime is an issue that affects all of us, and it's an issue that I believe we need to address frontally, we need to address firmly, and we need to treat it right now. So if no further questions, I want to thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedules to carry the press briefing of the minority. Thank you and have a blessed day.